Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Hey everybody, welcome to GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace episode 78.
I swear.
Wow. Huh?
I've just had to take so many breaks. But it's really cool that, we'll hit 100 really soon.
We are going to hit 100 really soon. We'll have to have a big celebration for that. But yes, welcome to episode 78. And I do have Ace with me today, so yay. So we're glad to have you back. I know work takes you away from us a lot, and then there's been some sickness and other things. But we're glad to have you here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. Yeah, work is it's always crazy working in the newspaper. Hi, Keith.
Hey, Keith.
Work is always crazy. Getting ready for wedding is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We have Lex full time now, except for every other weekend. So that's a little different.
Right.
Yeah, so just a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, you add an extra child permanently, and then you have a little wedding thing and a big con to plan, and it kind of reminds me of Prince Humperdinck and the Princess Bride. It's like, hey, do you want to come down and see the work today? Geez, I've got a war to plan, a bride to kill. Yeah. I'm booked.
I'm booked. It's a thing. And I, of course, at work, I just plan to have like this amazing contest for local students, which I have to run for the month of April, which is the month I'm doing all this other stuff.
Yeah, National Poetry Month. And if you live in Taney County, and what county?
Stone and Taney County.
Stone and Taney County.
Reach. That's our reach there. Other people read us, but that's like what we cover.
Right.
And 7th and 8th grade students can submit a poem. It has to be original, 250 words or less, just because I don't want to have to read so many that are really long. But any poem, any style, any kind of theme, we just want kids to express themselves. And so far we have about 350. It should go up to $500 worth of prizes for the top 5. So each of the
awesome.
Going to get big packages of like go-karts or mini golf, show tickets, IMAX tickets, all kinds of stuff. So
that's awesome. That'll be amazing for those 7th and 8th graders in those counties. If you are watching in one of those, get your poem in. And what's the deadline on it?
It's April 1st. Entries can be entered April 1st through the 15th. If you go to BransonTriLakesNews.com or Facebook, Branson Tri-Lakes News, we have some information on there. We're teaming with a radio station in town. So when the winners get announced, the top 5 will get to go onto the radio and talk about their poems if they want to read their poems.
Any person that we might know going to be doing that with them?
So
I don't know. I'm just fishing here.
So it could be one of the nerd informants. And it could also be the other Josh Clark, who's with the Upside on 106.3. 106.
Wonderful.
I get to go on the radio, I think this next week or maybe at the end of this week to talk about this.
That's fantastic. So a newspaper person on the radio, that'd be a lot of fun. So
we team with the radio station a lot just because they cover what we cover. So we're partnering with them for a lot of things. So
symbiotic relationship there. That's awesome. So and you should be used to being on. You won't even be doing video, just be doing audio.
Josh on the Upside with Josh and Them is what it's called now, because his co-host left.
Well, there we go.
he got an opportunity in Vegas, but it's called The Upside with Josh and them. And yes, it's on the radio, but he also does live from the
Oh, very nice.
studio during the thing. Spoo was on there not long ago as kind of like
Really?
special. Yeah, and I think he's going to be on next week as well.
Very cool. You have to send us links for that. That's awesome.
So,
Well, we want to talk about conventions today because it's convention season.
it is. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed. And here's the thing. They all tend to happen on same days. So you have to pick and choose your convention.
That is a hard fact, unfortunately, because this year, OzCon, which we're going to, you're getting married at, all of that other stuff we'll be covering is on the same day as Planet Comic Con in Kansas City, which is one of the bigger conventions.
Poor OzCon. Okay, because here's the thing with OzCon. They always announce the date that they're going to have their con.
Yeah.
And a week later, Big Con announces the same thing.
I know.
They did it this year, and they changed the date because another con announced that same day. And so they changed it to this one. Nobody else had announced at that point. And like a week later, Planet announced.
Oh, that's so hard.
I'm like, but OzCon is amazing if you guys,
it is.
especially for a first con. And that's what we want to really talk about is like people who don't have con experience.
Right, exactly. Now we do have somebody in our messages that does have a lot of con experience. The one to chime in. And by the way, Keith, if you want to come on with us, jump in here with us also. But Keith says 25 years of con experience.
Yep.
And you have what around that or more because you started. When did you start going to VisionCon?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, their third year. And I missed like 3 years.
Right.
But I was not I was just an attendee, and I'm a Wallflower attendee, which means I didn't talk to anyone.
Yeah, well, that's changed some over the years. We've gotten you out of that show.
Yeah.
Some not by your doing, so.
No. But I was just very shy. Like I'm an introvert, like you cannot even imagine. But I've been doing like booths and being involved in cons and cosplay contests and that sort of thing since 2013.
So I've been doing it for a while. So going on, this is what year 9 of that then, and next year will be year 10. So yeah.
Not nearly as much experience as Keith because Keith had VisionCon, and VisionCon was the first con I ever went to up in Springfield. And when I went, it was a smaller con as well, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
It does. Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun, and conventions are a great place for people who don't tend to fit in or feel like they don't fit in, because you can talk nerdy stuff and people are just there for it.
Right. No, in fact, when I walk into a con, first day of the con, I always take a deep breath. Like, it smells of my people. The smell of my people. And then on the last day of the con, you take in that deep breath and you're like, dang, my people stink.
That's what I was thinking. Just don't crud. That's what I do.
So we've got a few posts here. Let's hit these, and then we're gonna talk about this. So, man, you guys you are posting here.
Post, guys.
Yeah, and if you guys want to join in, just let me know. I will shoot you a link. So Keith, throughout Missouri, Springfield, all sorts of conventions going on. And
probably out of everybody I like personally know and consider myself really good friends with, Keith is probably the one who has the most con experience.
I agree.
That's not saying my fiance's had lots and lots of con experience. He's been a cosplayer for years. But Keith is Mr. Knowledge when it comes to cons.
Well, he's always Mr. Knowledge anyway. And he also says
smart.
Picking and choosing is hard. Yeah, when you got to pick between cons going on at the same time, that is difficult. And that does happen a lot to VisionCon. That's true. Jason says, and Jason, you're welcome to join us too, my friend. Keith knows all, and that pretty much is true. And Keith says VisionCon 1 and 2, became a con worker in 3. So it's been a while, Keith. Been a while, my friend. That's awesome. My first one was mid-90s Planet, when Planet was a very small convention in one little floor. Probably took us 3 hours to walk it.
Yeah.
And then it just kept growing. And now it's, I think it's the largest Midwest convention. So, yeah.
That sounds about right. I mean, it's huge. And the guests
it is huge. They are wonderful guests. So, if you guys are making the choice to go to Planet rather than OzCon, that's very understandable. But, we hope to see you at OzCon. If you're not going to Planet, come join us there, because OzCon will be amazing. Plus, you're going to see somebody get married. So,
and here's the thing about choices of your cons. So a lot of things determine your choice of cons. Right now, gas prices.
Right.
Hotel prices, if you're going to be there more than one night or one day. Guest, who are you excited to see?
Right.
I get anxious around huge crowds of people. So the bigger the con, the more I actually don't enjoy myself. Because of my introvert nature, I enjoy smaller cons because I feel like I get to know people and it becomes a personal thing. So all of those things are things that you need to consider, especially if you're going to your first con, or even if you're going to your 30th or 100th con. I think the thing that drives most people to cons are the guests.
Right. No, and I completely agree that that was one of the places that I wanted to start on. Let's hit our comments real quick, and then we'll get right back to that, because I do have some follow-up on that.
We have comments.
All right. Okay, Keith, I will send you a link here. Hey, Ray, how's it going, girl? Good to see you. Ray's a big con person, too.
Yeah.
And smell of your people. Yes, the smell of the people. And remember when Planet, I don't know if it was Planet's first one, but it was pretty early on Planet that I went. So, and yay, wedding, yay. Yeah, it'll be fun. All right, let me pop over here and send Keith an invite.
Yes.
And we'll get him in, and that will make our show at least 4 hours long. No, I'm teasing, Keith. You know that I love you, man. So yeah, here's the link, Keith. It's coming right now, my friend. So come on in and join us.
Doing that, I just want to thank Professor. I've been having technical difficulty with my phone. Do you see my phone? It's like all scratched up and it's cracked, and apparently I can't hear out of it. My microphone, and I don't hear him. So Professor got me a camera for the computer. So
it was an early wedding gift. What can I say? So, and hopefully that'll help out both you and Spoo as you guys are recording, and be able to enjoy that. Ray says, love cons. Yeah, I know that you're more of an anime con, Ray, which is awesome.
OzCon is more of an anime con. It's very much focused on voice actors and stuff.
It is. And Mandy gives the thumbs up. Hey, Mandy, good to see you, girl. So wanted to talk about, how to pick that con, because that was kind of what you're hitting on there. There are a lot of things that you got to factor in, and kind of what, here comes Mr. Keith right now with us. Hey, Keith, let's throw it this way. This way is better. How you doing, my friend?
I am good. How are you guys?
You can see the whole collection, or almost the whole collection now.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is just Spoo's.
But it looks like you're in a really fancy office there with all that. I love that. That's an awesome look. So wanted, as we're talking about cons and kind of looking at, as a new person going in, some of the things to consider for a con, and AJ hit on a lot of that. Where's it going to be at? Who's going to be the guest? How much is it going to cost? And those are things you guys can find out. If you're new to the whole con thing, I would suggest you get online, take a look at the con, see how big it is, how many days is it?
Yeah.
Can you get off work for it, or are you just going to go on a certain day? And kind of make your plans around that, and figure out, is there somebody there you want to see, or you just want to go gather with like-minded people. Like I said, the smell of your people. Like, yeah. I mean, well, and I do that. I do that every time I go to a con. As soon as I walk in, I take a deep breath, and then usually Sunday I take another deep breath, and I'm like, okay, I'm out. All right, guys, love you, but we're done. And so what other factors do people need to look at? So if they're like, I'm going to go to one con this year, what do they need to look at to kind of factor that in? And what are the additional costs beyond just tickets? Because ticket prices can vary anywhere from $5 at a very small con to hundreds of dollars for a large con. You can get one-day tickets, multiple-day tickets, but there's other expenses also that you need to look at.
Well, look, let me at least just say this. All those places that I named are places where I've not only attended conventions, but worked conventions.
Right.
And first things first, gas.
Yes.
Yep.
Right
Most
now, it's
important.
a big deal. Yeah, right now it is. Yeah.
Second thing is hotel.
Mhm.
And sometimes, depending on the size of the convention, the size of the event, I will usually say, you'll have multiple hotels that will be either within distance or even a part of that event.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So consider the price, and sometimes you'll have to find a friend or a couple buddies to go with you so that you can all chip in for to help reduce the cost, because you're going to be spending some money. I mean, you can't really get out of doing this without spending any money at all.
Right.
So you've got to think about your daily food.
Right.
And you all
expensive because it depends on where your con is. If it's out in the middle of nowhere, like, you have to pay the prices of whatever vendor is there.
Yep.
And so you have to take that in consideration.
Yeah.
And most cons do not allow you to bring food and stuff.
Yeah.
I think I've been to one, and it was an outdoor con, so it was like a little bit more lenient on that.
Yeah.
But most cons are like no food and
No. I will say this: if you're bringing in snacks in small bags in your pockets, because there's health issues, whatever else, that is often allowed.
Yeah.
And just like sneaking food into movie theaters, people do it all the time. And I've actually made it to where I've taken a bag of mixed nuts, and then I've taken like some Cheez-Its, and I had a good breakfast at the hotel I was at, and then I did that all day, and then afterwards I go to dinner someplace. But you got to factor in that dinner cost.
Yeah.
If you're eating at the con, it's like going to the fair or going to the movies. The price of that food is going to be elevated from what you're used to. You're not going to get a $4 value meal there. You're going to pay $25, $30 for something good to eat at a con. And if you want something bad to eat, then $10. So and then the other thing you need to think about is water.
Yes.
You need to bring a bottle for water, because they'll usually let you bring in water and let you fill up water. But if you're buying at the con, again, it's like ballpark prices. It's going to cost you $7, $8. You're going to stand in the line for 30 minutes to get a bottle of water. You can also go to the water fountain, but again,
I would suggest that you invest in one of those bottles with its own filter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That way you don't really have to worry too much about the water quality. If you're going to bring in snacks, you're right. Something that I never really had to deal with, but I know other people that have. If you have a food allergy and you're worried about that, just bring in little bits of food if you can. The other thing is make sure, really very important, if you're someone that has a medical condition and you need to be taking whatever, make sure you have that on you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because sometimes you'll run into an emergency. You'll need to take something really quick, or if something should happen, you should always have that near you, because it's not always easy to go back to your car depending on the event that you're going to.
Right.
For me, the number one thing is comfortable shoes.
That was on my list there. Yeah.
Comfortable shoes is towards the top for me, because you're going to do a lot of walking.
Oh yeah.
All day long standing up.
It is walking and waiting.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of walking, and then there's a lot of just waiting.
Yeah.
On your feet. And a lot of these cons are, they take place with really hard floors, concrete floors a lot. You don't have like soft, cushiony floors, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And depending on the space that the con has, things can be spread out a lot, even on different floors.
Right.
Mhm.
Make sure that you're like he said, wearing comfortable shoes. I'm a diabetic, so I bring my medicine and I bring my blood glucose meter so that I can like take my sugar and make sure my sugar levels aren't spiking or dropping. And also like bring your cell phone. And I know that's stupid, but you're gonna have some wait time. And you can scroll through your cell phone while you're waiting, because one of the biggest cost at cons for most people, especially if you're going to a con to see a celebrity, is seeing that celebrity and having a personal, like, one-on-one
Yeah.
with a celebrity. You pay for that. You pay for a photo. You pay for that sort of thing. You pay for autographs. All of those things are cost, and people need to account for that. Most cons will tell you how much, like, it's going to be, but you're still going to wait in line for that and everything. So
I wanted to hit a few things Ray had mentioned, and we'll come back to that because I did want to talk about autographs and kind of what you need to look at with that, and who. Anyway, so let's hit it. Ray, thank you for posting this stuff. This is great. Ray had mentioned with you have to be careful. You have to look at different cons for those experiences with those medical conditions, like wheelchairs or anything else that may cause you some limits. Make sure that con is going to be accessible to you. And there are groups that are looking at accessibility for cons out there, and we've talked about some of that before. And most cons have social media too, and that's true. Most of them do have all the different social media that you can reach out to. They've got people to answer your questions. Most of them have websites that you can ask questions and where you can look at ticket prices ahead of time. Because a lot of times you can buy tickets early and save some money. You can buy autograph sessions early and save some money. So planning ahead, maybe one of the big things you want to do is knowing where you're going to go and how much you want to spend and what your budget is. Coming with a budget can be really helpful, because if you just bring the credit cards, it's easy to max those things out.
Well, here's the thing. You have the celebrity stuff, but then you have artist galleries and artist alleys, and you have amazing artwork by amazing, talented people. You have vendors who have handmade stuff. Yeah, look.
See, there you go.
These are things you can buy at cons.
Well,
some of these are rare pieces that you cannot find at other places.
Yeah, right. You can only find them at cons. So be prepared to not only have that budget for your necessities, but if you can go to con cheap. Trust me, I've gone to a con and not spent $1. Did I regret not spending $1? Yeah, but I didn't have it to spend.
Right.
But if you plan ahead, you can budget for whatever you want.
Right. So let me throw a few other things Ray had said up here real quick. Talking about groups sharing rooms, and that's often true. I think Keith mentioned that can happen. If you go to a con that's not too far from your house, in town, within driving distance, sometimes you can drive back and forth depending on. Now, it's less feasible now with gas prices than it was a couple of years ago. Or like when I go to Kansas City to plan it, my sister lives up at Planet. All right, my sister lives in Kansas City, so I can stay there for free. So that helps my budgeting. So if you look at those things, that's important. Ray also mentioned if you have medical, they tend to make exceptions for things. So and that's true with the food and everything else. Any sort of medical, if you let them know in advance, or let them know when you're there, most of the time people are not trying to be jerks. They just want you to spend your money there rather than bringing stuff from the outside. So, all right. So that's true. So now, I kind of want to talk a little bit about etiquette with going up and talking to people, because it does vary from going to somebody's booth or going to an artist alley. or going to see a celebrity on kind of what you need to do, kind of how you need to approach things.
Right.
So there are definitely things that should be done, and in a lot of bigger conventions, they are very strict about stuff like that because it's usually part of the contract of whatever guest, celebrity, or that they have. So again, as Larry said, it's not like people are trying to be, bad to you or mean to you. There are other considerations when you do have a lot of that stuff that we normally don't think about, and that you should probably know about.
Yeah.
So let me say, going up to somebody's booth, that just like you would walking to anybody's store.
Mm-hmm.
Treat them with dignity. Go in, and if you're interested in what they're selling, talk to them about what they're selling and prices, and realize that if you want to buy something and you're going to be there at the last day of the con and they aren't running out, sometimes you can get a deal that way. But don't go up and try to ask for a deal on Friday, opening day of a convention, because these people are there to make money. They
don't ask for a deal, and don't ask the vendor to hold something for you.
Right. That's right.
Because I learned that my very first con as a vendor was I'm just a nice person. So this kid and his mom came up and she's like, can you hold this till tomorrow? And it was a 2-day con, so it was the last day. And I held it, and then I brought it home because they never came back for it.
Never came back.
Yeah.
Know that those vendors pay money for their booths. They might pay money, and it could be $25 up to thousands of dollars on the con to have a booth to sell their wares. And if you really like something, you pay for it. And you're allowed to try to bargain. Everybody's allowed to try to bargain. But if they say no, it's not being rude. This is their livelihood. So
right. And it's usually taken better on the last day of a con, especially towards closing, when people are trying to get rid of their wares rather than trying to bargain as doors open on the first day. Because they're like, I'm trying to make money, and here you are trying to take it away by offering this. So just some tips to look at that. Now, when you're going up to Artist Alley, typically those guys aren't charging you to come and get autographs or anything else, but they want you to look at their art, maybe buy something. If they're a comic book artist, which are often put in Artist Alley, maybe they've got comics that you could buy some of those, or you can, if you have a comic book artist that's going to be there, or comic book writer, a creator of any kind, you can bring comics that you already own with you. Now, again, please be considerate of other people, considerate of the artist and the creator. I've seen well-known writers and artists sit at a booth and sign a stack of this many comic books for somebody.
Yeah.
Because they were nice people and they were glad that you liked their art or liked their stories. But you're taking away from what they're trying to do also by doing that. So just realize, if I've got Chris Claremont going to be at a convention, who I love Chris Claremont, one of the writers for X-Men during the 80s, and I bring one of my treasured X-Men comics to him, he's going, get him to sign. He may charge me a little bit because he's a really big name and he's also retired. He may be looking to make some money. Most current writers and artists aren't going to charge, but they may have a limit. They'll sign 3 items or something like that, because again, they're going to have a line also. So be considerate of other people.
Considerate of the people behind you in line.
Right.
Like, I understand that you are a fan of theirs, but so are the other people waiting to see.
Right. That's exactly right.
So you need to be aware of that. Like, I know you want to spend as much time with them as possible, but they're not there just for you. They're there for everyone. You got to share.
So I do have to say, sometimes you can find those people are at a lull, and they don't have anything going on. Nobody's at their booth. They wish there was, and you coming over is actually wonderful for them.
Yeah, because it gets other people to notice.
Right, exactly. I spent probably 20 minutes talking to Michael Straczynski at Chicago at a con, because they had stuck him off over on the side and nobody realized he was there. So I talked to him about a Spider-Man run, talked to him about Babylon 5, talk to them about, I talked to them about all sorts of things. And then people started coming over, and then I'm like, okay, I don't want to take your time. You spent enough time with me. I'll let you get to your other fans here. So, again, considerate of other people behind you. Consider of the people you're talking to. And don't be surprised if they're, especially if they are older, retired comic creators there, that they may ask for a few bucks.
Right.
Because they're not bringing in that income. And sometimes they're asking for money to be donated to certain organizations. And they'll have a tip jar there. So those are things to consider, that if you want to do that, a lot of times those things are free, especially for bringing your own comics. But then realize what's going on. Also realize they're usually, if they're artists, they've got art there for sale. So if you love this artist, they've got art there for sale, either copies, or you can pay them, and it is a pay thing, pay them to draw something for you, but they're spending their time and doing their work. So don't think they're just going to scribble stuff around for you for free. So just be aware.
I will say, as an artist and somebody who's been in the Artist Alley before, when somebody buys one of my prints or something and they want it signed, normally that's just something you just do.
Right.
But for really, really famous artists, they might charge you, and just expect that. That's you're getting a little bit more for that, because now that piece of art, or that whatever you bought from them or whatever you brought in, is now worth more.
Right, exactly.
Paying to increase the value of your item.
And also, one other thing to consider with that is you may get a creator ask you for your name to put on it, or should I make this out to? They're doing that because they are tired of seeing the books that they spend all this time signing ending up on eBay.
Yes.
So if it has somebody's name on it, they assume that you're more tied to that and that you're more of a fan. So they're asking that, and again, they're not asking it to be mean. They just don't want to see people selling the stuff. If they're interacting with you and signing it, it's because they want you to know that they care that you're a fan of theirs and they love that. But if you're just there trying to bring in shipments of books to get signed to sell at your comic book store, then that's a different thing, and then they're looking more to charge those people. So just some things to consider. So we've talked about what to wear. Now another thing to wear. Oh, Keith disappeared and came back. Here we are. Hey, Keith.
He was getting set up.
Got his green screen there. So another thing to consider on what to wear is you want to wear not only comfortable shoes, but you need to wear something that's appropriate for what the con is going to be, because cons are usually much warmer than it is outside. So even if it's a cool day outside, it may be steaming hot in there because you've got all these bodies of people there. Not
only that, but you have to be aware of the con and whether it's family friendly,
right,
or not. I went to a con with a cosplayer that I know. I mean, I didn't go with her, but I do know her, and her cosplay was amazing. She was Poison Ivy. However, she was in a thong bikini as Poison Ivy, and things were not covered, and it was a kid-friendly con. So if you're going to cosplay, be aware of your surroundings. There are cons that are not as kid-friendly. Like, kids still go to them a lot of the times, but they're not kid-friendly. And the con will let you know.
Right.
So if you have a question about, is this appropriate, you can literally reach out to the con and somebody will help you with that. But that was just always like a pet peeve of mine, is when you see these really inappropriate cosplays, which I think are amazing and I appreciate them. However, Larry, you don't want your son to go see some woman's breast out there. Like, that's sort of what happened.
Right.
Like, you had this much material covering her breast.
Right.
That's not kid-friendly appropriate. So
right, exactly. Got to kind of know that. Now let's talk a little bit about cosplaying. Since you mentioned cosplaying, let's talk a little bit about what is cosplaying for people that may not know, and then what is good and not good to do as cosplayers.
Okay, so here's the thing. Cosplay is costume play. It's literally costume play, and it's basically where people pick characters whether it be fictional, like whoever you want, like from TV, from comics, from anime, whatever you want. You pick characters that you either resemble, you love, you just think that's a really cool outfit. You can create your own character and you dress up as someone other than yourself to go to the convention. What's fun about being a cosplayer is that, especially if you cosplay as characters that other people know a lot, you can get asked for your autograph walking the floor. People want to take your picture. I never had that happen to me at a really busy con until Vision Con a few years ago, where Amanda Cole and Sandra and I were dressed as the Sanderson sisters.
Yep.
And we had so many people stop us and ask to take pictures. I think I took like probably hundreds of pictures on that.
It was a constant with you guys when you guys were dressed up. Yeah.
To talk to people. We were just like barely walking and taking pictures. So be prepared for that if you dress as like really popular characters and you're really good. But cosplay is a way to express yourself and express your love for a character and have some fun. You don't have to spend a lot of money for cosplay. There are people who spend thousands of dollars on cosplay.
Right.
It's not,
yeah.
It is not a necessity, especially when it's your first con. But you can hand make your costumes. You can go to thrift stores. I'm going to be doing a panel at OzCon that I've done at almost every con I've done panels at, and it's cosplay on a budget. And it just talks about like what you can make at home, and you don't have to break the bank. But you can, if you have the money to go out and get a full Batman suit, dude, and you love Batman, go out and get the full Batman suit. And like, you know, one of my dearest friends has an amazing Mandalorian cosplay that he does, and I've helped him with it, and he's grown it now, and he has his own character. But yeah, cosplayers are people in costume, and it doesn't have to be at cons, but you see it a lot more.
Right.
It is amazing to go to conventions that are known for their cosplay. Yeah. I still think the biggest and best one is Dragon Con in Atlanta.
I've heard that.
You will learn so much because everybody's so friendly. And again, just when you walk up to someone, be nice, be respectful. If you want to learn something, many people are happy to talk to you about it.
Oh, yeah.
I've had that experience myself, going to conventions and helping people understand how to put together their own podcast or YouTube podcasts. But with cosplay, again, yeah, AJ, you're so right. It is easy to spend a lot of money on a cosplay, and some people spend just unbelievable amounts to make something so impressive.
Yeah.
But it's also something that people can also get into, where it's part competition, not just you wearing a costume.
Right.
Some people wear costumes because certain conventions will have competitions. One being what you're wearing that day is being judged for an eventual prize, usually either something that they give you or money. And so some people spend a lot of time, effort, and money trying to recreate something, whether it's, dressing up as Superman or Wonder Woman and Batman, either from the original comics, from films, or from animated shows you may have seen them in, or dressing as famous anime characters, or characters from novels, or all different versions of whatever. And you'll see things that, for me, it's just an amazing display. It's like a really cool fashion show where everybody wearing something interesting will walk right past you.
It's really, like, it is an amazing, like you said, it's a show. And cosplayers love it when you ask them about their cosplay. They do.
Right.
Most of them, like 99% of them that I've ever met, are like, they're excited to tell you about their cosplay.
Yes.
cosplay contest, which a lot of cons have. If you have a really cool cosplay and you want to like see what judges think of it, you can enter that cosplay contest. And I've told people this could be better, or this is, you know, and I'm that kind of judge. Like I talk to them afterwards. But one thing that is really important to me as a woman who cosplays is, Keith said, be respectful. Just because somebody's in a cosplay that is a sexy version of something or something like that does not, you do not know how many people will come up and just grab you. Full of that. Like that is not appropriate. If it's something you would not do if they were dressed in regular clothes, don't do it when they're dressed not in regular clothes. But I had an incident at a con where I was not in cosplay, but I was like a special guest at the con, and somebody was talking to me. A guy was talking to me after a panel, and I had to go to the bathroom, and he literally followed me into the bathroom.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he is a very sweet guy. He has a learning disability. I knew this going in, and I just told him, you know, you're in the girls' bathroom. You need to get out of the girls' bathroom. However, I've had cosplayers come to me saying that there are guys who are making them feel uncomfortable as well.
Right.
So
right.
Just be aware of that. Like, just because, you know, there's that whole meme that's cosplay is not consent. That's a true statement.
Right. Right.
A sexy character doesn't mean that they want you to touch them. So always be respectful. And when you want to, if you want a photo with them, say, hey, can I get a photo with you? And then see what they're comfortable with. Maybe they go up, like stand right next to you and put their arm around you. But if they're, and that's with celebrities too, especially after with COVID, a lot of celebrities have it where you can't touch them during personal time. So if that's their rule, you respect that because that's their personal space and that is about their person. And so if that's the case, just respect people. Ask. If you have a question, say, hey, can I give you a hug? Or, you know, little kids ask girls dressed as princesses for hugs all the time. Like, because they think they know them. So but just be respectful.
Yeah, especially if, and also dealing with those that cosplay that are younger.
Yes.
Be very respectful. Sometimes, you know, kids can be kids.
Yep.
For me, that experience should always be special for them.
Yeah.
And so whether it's you in a cosplay and a child comes up to you, or whether you want to get a picture of a child in cosplay, again, as AJ said, just be respectful. That's all. Be nice. Basically treat every child as if they're yours.
Right. And talk to the parent too.
Yes. Most importantly.
Or there's always a guardian or parent with them, or should be. Unless, of course, you know, at the bathroom or whatever. But don't engage there without that there, and make sure you're engaging with both. That way, you want to talk to the child, make them feel special, but also make sure that you're checking with the parent or whoever to make sure things are okay. I always do that when I'm taking pictures as a photographer. I don't want a picture of a child without the parent being okay. That's my policy for people anyways. I always check with them before I get their picture. But with a kid, that's very important just because it's a crazy world. So not that anybody watching this would do something crazy, but it's a crazy world. So, you know, those are just things to know when you go in. You're like, that is such a cool costume. I can't believe this kid's pulling that off. I want their picture. Well, let me make sure that's all okay.
Yeah. And keep something about kids, you know, like letting them experience that as children. I think what's really fun is if you have a kid in an amazing cosplay, first you have to have eye contact with whoever the adult is with them. You have to make that eye contact. You have to, you know, but talk to them as the character. Like if somebody is dressed as like Kylo Ren, go, oh my gosh, Kylo, I loved your movie. Because they then take that and their imagination goes wild. And that is like you see these kids light up because they're like, I fooled a grown up. You know, it's a thing. And let their magic happen. Like, let them have that. I get that excited when I was as Mary Sanderson, when people were like, "I love you're my favorite." I was like, "Sisters, did you hear that? I am the favorite." I was like all over that.
Right.
But so imagine as an adult, as a cosplayer, you get super excited when people respond to your character the way they would respond to the character.
Right.
But kid, it's even more.
Oh, especially when a child dresses up as Doctor Who. I'll always refer to them as that character, no matter who they are. So if they're dressed as the Doctor, hello, Doctor, how are you?
Well, and, my son dressed up as Luke Skywalker a couple times for conventions, and of course, then you get the 501st in there with their stormtroopers, and of course, they will interact like, there's one of the rebels, get them, and all sorts of stuff. So they'll do that. Mandy's got a comment here, a very good comment here, Mandy. Let's throw this up here, and that's very true. You do have to be very conscious of there are things that people have, different disabilities you may not be able to tell just by looking at somebody. A lot of times you can't tell that. And I know Ray's had an experience there where maybe she's trying to walk during part of the convention and has to get into her wheelchair, and people, I just saw you walking. Why are you being pushed around? Why do you get to go to the front of the line? Well, that's not necessarily, you don't understand what all is going on there. So,
right.
And that's very true, especially with children with any sort of autism or emotional disabilities there.
You tell, like, it's not like they carry around a sign that says I have autism or I have anxiety. So when that gentleman guy walked into the bathroom after he left, I sat in the corner and cried for like 20 minutes because my anxiety was so high.
Right.
It's just a thing that happens. So yeah, no, that is a great point, Mandy. Is just make sure that you don't have to be aware of everybody's issues, but be aware enough that you're not making sure you treat everybody like they do have those issues.
Right.
Yeah.
So
another thing, one last thing though.
Go ahead, Keith.
When it comes to cosplay, sometimes somebody will have a cosplay costume where, for whatever reason, it might be hard for them to either see or hear.
That's true.
Be very aware of that, because sometimes they'll be restricted by what they're wearing. It might even affect how they're able to move. So be very aware of the restrictions and limitations of what they're wearing also.
Yeah, and a lot of them will have handlers, especially if they problem seeing and stuff. And you treat them like you treat a parent of the child, because the cosplayer can't see you or hear you correctly, and so they don't know what you're asking. You always ask the handler in that situation,
right.
Because the handler knows and has been instructed on what the cosplayer is okay with.
Yeah.
So, the other thing with cosplaying I wanted to mention is be respectful. Somebody who's a large guy like myself may want to go put on spandex and try to be Spider-Man, and that's okay. I'm not going to do it because I don't feel comfortable with myself that way. But I'm just saying, be respectful of people. People of all sizes want to cosplay, of all orientations, of everything. People do cross-gender crossplays. There's all sorts of things there. Just be respectful of people. You don't have to understand it or to think it's really cool, but just be a normal person. We're all geeks. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's walking art, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You spend that much time creating something. It is walking piece of art. For me, it's like walking into a museum, except that the actual piece itself is being worn and is walking around you. Yeah. And I just, I am just amazed every time I see anything. And again, it sometimes it's not even a cosplay that seems to have been to cost very much money. Sometimes it's simple things, but it's the attitude of the people that are wearing them, what they infuse it with, that comes through. And again, if you've never experienced that, it is an incredible experience just as someone that is able to view this in many instances at many different conventions.
Right.
So yeah, just have fun with it. It is fun for everyone when everybody has a good time and everybody's respectful.
And I have to say, I don't usually cosplay. One, I'm not super creative, but I do have cosplay for at least Friday for OzCon, and I'm working on cosplay for Saturday. So just so you know, and
It's fun.
Keith, are you coming to OzCon?
I don't know. Several things have happened over the last few months, so I'm not sure.
Sure.
But once I know for sure, I'll let everyone know. One last thing though about cosplay though, the accessories of cosplay are also really. Many people take that very seriously. Some items, swords or whatever, can be even, in certain extreme cases, real items.
Right.
Others can be fabricated. One of my favorite fabricators is Evil Ted Smith, and I know his name sounds, but he actually is a Hollywood guy. He started in Missouri and worked his way into Hollywood to create props and other things for movies. And now he finds ways of uploading videos onto YouTube and Twitch where he teaches you how to make things.
That's awesome.
And some of the things that he's made look like they should be so expensive, so heavy. A helmet that he had at Archon in the St. Louis area looked like it should have been just like this big thing that cost him hundreds of dollars, and it turns out it was actually made out of foam and easy to put on. Yeah. And that's the way Ted is. He'll instruct you on how to do it in a way where you're not having to break the bank, but he'll teach you things to be able to, make stuff look really, really good. And many people, that's its whole subgroup within cosplay, where people can just make anything.
I'm a props maker, like for cosplay. It's like that's my favorite thing to do is making the props for cosplay. Mm-hmm. And so I appreciate all of that. Speaking of, I did want to mention that you said something about it should be fun. We all have our favorite characters, and we all love our favorite characters. If somebody comes in a Spider-Man that's not comic accurate or is their own, let them have that. They don't have to be exact. I always dislike it when people criticize them. One, you don't know what their budget was.
Right.
Two, you don't know what they're going for. You can mash up characters. You can do character mash. You can have fun with it. If you want to cosplay as a Japanese anime girl from whatever anime it is, but you're a white redhead, go ahead and do it. Because it's fun.
Right.
There are things that are appropriate. You just have to make it your own. You don't want to be disrespectful to the character, but you don't want to be disrespectful to the cosplayer either, because you don't know what they're actually going for a lot of the times. And as somebody who's judged cosplay contests, so many times people come up and I don't even know who they're supposed to be, but their cosplay is amazing. Because I'm like, I don't know this anime, but your cosplay is amazing. Or they have an original character. And so you want to know that story and stuff. So you just try not to be judgy on things like that. And especially my pet peeve with cons, especially with kids in cosplay, when you see a kid in a cosplay from a different, culture, don't be judgy on that. That could be their favorite, that could be their favorite character. And so the right race or whatever, if they're a kid and they're expressing their love for a character and they're being their little geeky self, just let them be.
And I would say that's true for adults too. I mean, it's okay to cosplay as somebody from a different race or somebody from, if you're doing it respectfully. You don't want to do it in respect. Mandy's actually amen this whole conversation here with that. Yeah, there is no, you must be this size, color, gender. Yeah, exactly, Mandy. And she also said she wanted to add to Keith's accessory comment.
Convention
weapon rules. Right, because
That's
you do have to be aware of those convention rules there. Oh, and Jason piped in here. Hey, Jason.
Don't mess with kids. That actually is a true statement too.
That's very good, Jason. That's very good.
Convention rules for weapons. Be aware that when you make a prop, that most conventions are going to be tagging it with something or like wrapping something around so that they know it is a fake weapon. It's just for the safety of all of the convention goers. I know that you spend a lot of time on making these props a lot of the times. Be aware though that they're going to need a place to put, like, it's usually like a zip tie of a orange zip tie or something like that to let them know that it is not a real weapon. If you can't have a place on the weapon that can do, they will have you put the weapon up front and you can't bring it into the floor.
Right.
It's a safety thing. Be aware of these because you don't want, it's always sad when you see a cosplayer and you know their weapon was confiscated. But it's amazing if you saw them walk into the building with it and you know it's amazing, but they can't walk on the floor with it because it doesn't have a space where they can actually put something around it. Or the cosplayer's like, no, I don't want you to put anything around because they're afraid they're going to damage it. So make sure when you're building these these props that you leave some space so that the people at the convention can tag it so that they know it's not real.
Well, and they're doing that for the safety of everybody. So that's the other thing to realize. Convention people that are running conventions, they don't want the hassle. They don't want to be the bad guys. They want you to come and enjoy their convention, spend your money, come back again next year, make it a bigger, better thing every year. They don't want to be a hassle, but they're looking out for the interest of everybody. So that's what you got to consider. If somebody has a real samurai sword on the floor, then you've got to be a little more cautious about what's going on there. So those are the things that they're looking for. So, all right. So we've talked about cosplay and we talked about it pretty extensively, which I think is great for people. And guys, if you're doing your first cosplay, you don't have to spend a bundle. You don't have to go crazy. It's okay to buy stuff pre-made. It's okay to be imaginative. I just want you to know, don't feel like you can't cosplay something. Some of the best cosplays I've seen were guys in white button-down shirts with the Superman shirt underneath with it pulled open. He's got the Clark Kent glasses. He's cosplaying. He's doing it on a budget, but yet it shows you what he's trying to say. So those sort of things are really awesome.
There are some people that go out. Go ahead.
Here's the tag from, this is what I was saying. This is a prop I made. It's my Athena shield. It is literally a cake plate, a styrofoam head that I cut, hot glue, and paint.
Wow.
It cost like $6 to make. But it looks really cool when I have my feather mohawk.
It does look really cool.
But yeah, so be creative.
Yes.
But this is, I was like, oh yeah, I have something. I still have the tag on it.
See, there you go.
There are some people that really get into cosplay to the point where they become what I like to call cosplay supportive players. And what I mean by that is there was a couple that got dressed up really nice. I mean, they went to a convention. The guy was in a really nice suit and tie, and the lady he was with, really nice dress with fine pearls. Their whole thing was whenever they would see anyone dressed as Batman, they would fall on the floor at their feet.
I can't say the name. That's hilarious.
Well, and I've seen Uncle Ben done that way also.
Yes.
So.
And then another one is some people have adopted certain things that they've seen either in other places, because whenever you go to Disneyland and you see any of the Toy Story characters, if you yell out Andy, all the characters fall down.
Yep.
And so some people have adopted that into cosplay in various other places where they do the same thing. But it's fun. It's all meant to be fun, and it should be fun for everybody.
Exactly.
And again, whether it's a group of guys dressed in Star Trek red shirts, and they also will cosplay, and then all of them will fall down, depending on who you are. I even saw one where it was a group photo, a stage photo, where it's one side the Star Trek red shirts and the other side the stormtroopers.
That's
I like it.
And then at the end of the photo, they're all on the ground. So
I'm surprised they were all on the ground. Stormtroopers can't shoot anything correctly.
They still hit the red shirts. It somehow bounces back.
Yeah. And vice versa. It does not take them.
Well, if a princess who's been in prison for days goes through a trash compactor, can grab a random pistol and take stormtroopers out with it.
Yeah.
What do you see the armor, guys? Come on. So, yeah. So
it's just a lot of cosplayers take a lot of time and effort to put on a show.
Yes.
During the contest, like they have little stage time. I remember Vision Con and the Walking Dead group that did it the year that I was one of the Sanderson sisters, and the whole Negan and the Glenn's eye, and it was a lot of fun to watch. So I mean, it's a thing.
I think my favorite one was I was at a convention in Kansas City, and there was a guy there who was able to recreate Max von Sydow's entire Ming the Merciless costume from his entrance into the movie Flash Gordon. He had shaved his head. He had the goatee. He looked exactly like Ming the Merciless. And I was blown away. I didn't take a picture with him. Idiot. But it was...
Keith, it's okay.
Although, then I went to one at OzCon where a guy just came dressed in a bathrobe and a white shirt with, kind of pseudo undies and bath slippers, and he'd grown his hair out and beard. He was the dude. He came dressed as the dude.
Right. I was wondering if he's going to be the dude or what's his name from Hitchhiker's Guide.
Not with his hair grown out.
Right now, once you said that part, I'm like, yeah.
After the Avengers, the Fat Thor thing was going around a lot. People were doing the Fat Thor. Like, I don't have to dress up much.
Maybe that's what I should cosplay as. Hey, grab my PlayStation remote. And...
here's a little secret. I've always cosplayed because I go dressed as myself, and so that way, I can afford all those clothes. I mean, they all fit. Don't have to really do too many things extra. So
right.
And that's the thing. You can, if you want to dress up. If you just want to go and see everybody else's costumes, do it.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's all about what. I think that the thing with conventions is all about what you want the experience to be for you.
Agreed.
You want to meet a bunch of guests, you go and meet a bunch of guests. I've gone to conventions and not met any guests like lined up, and I met them in like the elevator or something. That's the other fun thing is like when you meet them in the elevator, or you like go and have lunch at a restaurant close by and they're like sitting there and you're just like, celebrity over there.
I saw Stan Lee like 50 foot away from me digging through a comic book bin, and of course he had a couple of handlers there with him, so nobody was around him because his handlers are right there. But I'm like, I wanted, in my head I'm like, I need to bow down and say I'm not worthy, but I was like, it's Stan Lee, oh my god. So yeah, sometimes you'll do that. So let me throw a couple of comments up here. Jason, I was actually going for the human from Earth. I can't think of his name at the moment. Gosh darn, it's not Marvin from
Arthur Dent.
Arthur, yes. Arthur Dent, thank you. That's who I was going for. But Zaphoid would be a lot of fun to cosplay. Mandy says, "Dad bod Thor." Yes, Dad bod Thor.
It's a thing.
And Jason said,
None of us are understand.
We're not worthy. And then, of course, so Arthur Dent. Yeah, at the same time there, Keith got it. Yeah, I just couldn't think of it for a moment, but that's exactly. And those are some of my favorite books. So, but yeah, so you can do all sorts of things with cosplay. Be creative, have fun. Don't feel pressure. You don't have to do it, but if you want to do it, go have a good time.
And don't feel pressure to go all out. You can go on a budget, but you can also there's different things that, like, when you go to Disney as an adult, you're not allowed to dress as a character because they don't want kids to come up to you. So there's a whole thing called Disney bounding, where you dress, like, if you want to be Snow White, you dress in her colors and, like, with the headband and stuff like that, and people will still think, oh, you look like Snow White. That is perfectly okay as a cosplay.
Right.
You are allowed to do your own thing with your cosplay. Spoo's made a name for himself as the Springfield Riddler. He looks nothing like the Riddler, I got to say. But
the way they've done the Riddler now, but he is the Riddler as far as I'm concerned. So.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's a thing. You make it your own, and that's what's fun about it. It doesn't have to be completely TV, movie, comic accurate.
Right.
I don't know. Get a trash bag and he'll look like the new one. Oh, did I say that out loud?
The other thing you can do with that is you can make sure that you can put a twist on it however you want. If you want to do steampunk Xena, do steampunk Xena. If you want to do, whatever, you can add different genres together, and that's okay too. Jason said he would, if he did cosplay, he want to do Hitchhiker's Guide, but nobody's ever doing that. Well, Jason, we need to figure out a time to do that, and we'll need to figure out how to do a Hitchhiker's Guide. That'd be a lot of fun.
I was going to say, I have gone to conventions where I've seen Hitchhiker's Guide cosplay. They were really amazing, and they had the cutest, like the most fun skits, just because just the way that it's written, it lends itself to, you have these, like, little points. It's like Doctor Who.
Right.
Like, there are certain things that you can say, even if you're not completely in costume. If you have a sonic screwdriver and, like, one thing, like a scarf or a hat or a bow tie or something, you can make that work. So
well, sometimes it's even you don't even have to have all of that. Just with someone who obviously very well, you can just walk up to them and whisper in their ear, "Hail Hydra," and instantly,
yeah.
So
it's a thing. So yeah, just have fun with it. And like I said, if you don't feel comfortable cosplaying, especially your first convention, go and look, watch, and who knows? By the second day, you might be wanting to cosplay. That happens a lot.
So Mandy had this to say, and I did not realize this was the theme for OzCon, but day one, I'm in.
He's going to be a villain.
I'm going to be a villain. Yo, bro.
I wonder how many people are going to show up dressed as Darkseid. I mean, that to me is the cosplay right now. That is the big one. I want to see how many people can recreate the Darkseid look from Justice League, because that was amazing. How many people are either going to go as that or go as one of the Fremen from Dune? That'll be something.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. Well, Keith, if you decide you're coming to OzCon, and if you're going to make it Friday, let me know, and I'll share with you what my cosplay is, because you can join in with me.
Yeah.
I will check. I love going to conventions. I've been going for so long. I've taken my kids to all kinds of conventions. They even cosplay, and even won the first time they did it. It is, to me, if you have fun with it, it's a great family thing. And even if you don't dress up yourself, there's all different types of things to go see and experience. You can learn different things, hear different people talk, whether they're actors or authors or artists. you make and meet so many different people that can eventually become friends, and you will definitely discover your tribe.
Right.
Going to one of these, you will definitely discover your tribe, even if it's just one other person who gets a really vague reference.
Well, and usually if one person gets it, lots of people get it. So,
and here's the thing: we've talked about the artists, we've talked about the vendors and stuff, but Keith brought up a really good point, and a big part of a lot of conventions that people don't realize, and that's panels.
Right. Let's get to that in just a second. Give me just a moment here. Let me throw what Jason said because he wanted to talk about cosplaying as a villain in regular clothes. You could be a henchman really good that way, Jason. You could go find somebody that is dressed up as a villain of some kind, and then you can just be their henchman. Hey, boss, what do you mean to do? Just go up to him like that all the time. Just to be fun. That would be great.
Just grab some goggles and a green trash bag, and you'll be the Riddler.
Well, we already have a
yeah.
What?
Anyway. So, all right. So back to panels, because panels is the big thing. And so let's talk about what panels are and kind of how those operate. Because, we're going to be, AJ and I are going to be in some panels at OzCon, and I always love doing panels. So tell everybody what a panel exactly is. What's the point of the panel?
Well, Keith used to do this one. You do this one.
All right, Keith, you tell us about panels.
A panel is really you'll go into a room sometimes, varying sizes, and a panel will usually have either a particular point, whether it's talking about cosplay, or it'll be an author reading you the chapter to their next upcoming book, or any number of subjects. It's like going to a TED Talk, except that you're there to hear someone or a group of someone's discuss either a particular subject or group of subjects, whether it's how to write science fiction or fantasy in the 21st century, how to create good cosplay ethics, or it's meeting, say J. Michael Straczynski and talking to him about his career and his book about his life,
right?
Or pitching him, questions about the upcoming Babylon 5 reboot.
So I was waiting for you to mention Babylon. In my head, I'm like, he's going to mention Babylon 5.
He brought up J. Michael Straczynski.
I did.
I can at least do that once a time.
And I got 20 minutes with him, Keith. I don't know.
Oh man,
it was great.
Panels can be entertaining. They can be educational. They can be Q&A. Maybe you have a panel where somebody's like, hey, audience, we'll take questions from like the people in the room. They're just a great way to either learn more or get to know special guests that are at the con better. We've done, like, I do cosplay on a budget, like I already said. I've done panels with you guys.
Yeah, you have.
You know what? We have done a panel together.
We have. No.
We have. I was the only girl on the panel.
Well, of course, I remember that.
I'm always the only girl.
Actually, no. I was sitting between the only two ladies on the panel.
Well, that was the first time. I think you did a panel with just me and Larry, too.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so Tony was with us the first time, but then we did a second panel, like we did another panel, and I was the only girl at that one. But, and then we just talked about how we do this and why we do this.
Right.
I've gone to panels where they've taught me how to make certain things, like, helmets and stuff like that. And on those panels, a lot of the times you pay a fee because you pay for all the materials, and then they actually teach you and you go away with whatever it is.
That's awesome.
There are panels like that too. So just all conventions will have a schedule, and on that schedule, it'll say panel, and it'll tell you what it is and all of that. And that way you can also figure out your day. because going to a convention is like going to Disney. You want to figure out which ride you're going to ride first.
Right.
I will say this. If you're someone who has never attended a convention before, one of the things nowadays that's a lot better than the way it used to be is that if you're traveling to a convention, most of the time you didn't understand what the schedule was going to be. So you had to actually go to the convention to pick up the con book to understand the schedule and how everything's laid out. Nowadays, people have apps and they have things that they can post online, so it'll make it easier for you to plan out how you want to attend the convention and where you want to go first. And whether it's, you and your family, or as sometimes it'll happen, your family decides they got all these different things they want to do, and you got to plan out where everybody's going to be so that you can eventually figure out what time are we getting back together and where.
Right.
Always pick out a place to meet in case of emergencies.
Yes.
Very important, especially for the larger conventions. You want to pick a place where all of you can meet to make sure that you're all there and leave, whether it's there at the event or whether you can somehow make it back to where you park. But always pick a place, get all that stuff handled before you go into the event.
Yep. Also, teach your kids to look for staff shirts, because the like if they get lost or something, because all conventions have people who are either paid or volunteer, depending on the convention, that are there to help you. And so always teach your kids to go up. There's not like the policemen, but the staff are the helpers that they need to be looking for.
Right.
Unless it's a lost child who randomly finds Superman walking and decides.
And then Superman and most cosplayers who are Superman will take them to a staff person. It's just
they certainly will.
Convention works. It's
again, it's the law, technically. It's an unwritten law, but it's the law. If you're dressed as Superman, you got to take the child to the authorities. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is.
Now, if you're dressed as Batman, you teach them how to be the darkness.
You adopt them and you teach them how to fight.
Your parents have died. But I see them. No, you're not my ward. I will teach you how to crime fight.
Hey, that's a lot better than walking off with the billionaire genius inventor who will teach you how to curse a lot and party and create things and blow stuff up real good.
I kind of like two better. Can I do that one? I don't know. So a couple comments from Mandy here real quick. Mandy mentioned that she met AJ at OzCon and they've connected through Facebook, and that AJ was doing a panel. That's where she met. So since we're talking about panels, so you're right about the, making sure where to go. If it's a large convention, there may be separate areas you have to walk to. You need to plan out those times. You need to look through that. And if it's a large convention, you may have 4 or 5 different things going on at one time, so you have to pick. So there's a lot of looking. Smaller cons usually have 1 thing or 2 rooms going on at a time, just because it's smaller.
It has two panels at a time, and then they have something going on entertainment wise. So a lot of cons have the main stage where you have like magicians, or you can have like the guests speaking or whatever. So you just have to like get that schedule ahead of time, and they're almost all online. Get that schedule ahead of time and plan out what you want, the things that you are like, I must do this, because you will end up finding things that you did not realize was going on, and you're like, I want to see that too.
I keep expecting to go to a convention to have an Insto panel. Somebody could surprise Larry. Larry, Insto panel. Talk about Spider-Man comics in the 1990s. What you loved, what you didn't like. And Larry could probably pontificate on that.
I would love that. That would be so much fun. I agree. Insta panel. Woo! And that would be fun to do on a stage. It'd be like whose line is it anyway, sort of thing. And now, Insta panel. Talk on this. Oh man, that would be great.
Pick a subject and you have to talk on it.
Holy crap!
Why don't we
need to do this? I'm so in on this. This has to be done. Where we have a con.
Haven't figured out their schedule completely yet. We don't know our panels. We can add it.
Let's add InstaCon.
Just give me credit for the idea, and we're good.
Well, and if you're there, I mean, crud. That's what I'm saying.
We just like we have people in the audience like shout out,
throw
like,
out ideas, and we can talk about. Oh my gosh, I'm so in. I'm so in. And you pull people in from the audience. Oh yeah. We need to do this. This is.
Shrew and I are doing a Star Wars trivia at OzCon.
Which is funny since you're not that into Star Wars.
But here's the thing about it. I am willing to learn. One.
See, and that's so sweet. That's love. That's love.
I'm the girl who's going to be giving out the prizes.
See? And everybody loves the girl who's giving out prizes.
Well, we all know Smooth's getting the ultimate prize. So.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
He's already a winner.
This is very true.
Telling him every day, I'm like, "Are you sure you want to do this? You're going to be stuck with me forever. Because I'm not getting divorced again. Even if you leave me, you're still stuck with me." That's what I told him.
You can expect a serial killer at your house if you leave.
One of us. One of us.
Get rid of me. No.
I haven't seen Spoon in a while. Well, I've got him locked up back there because he tried to run away. So,
Look at this. He has a room full of toys. I can lock him in here and he would just play all day long.
Well, you could always lock him up and say, let's play my favorite game, Misery.
Oh, he would be like, okay. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. That's so funny. This isn't even my room anymore. Like Larry has been to this room. This is my studio. This is where I used to do photo shoots.
Yes,
we
do.
I cannot do photo shoots anymore.
No, not without covering them all in stuff. I don't know. That would be tough.
What I give away for love. He has a whole room of toys.
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
I'm like the best fiance ever.
You definitely are.
Let's take the word like out of that.
Everybody's like, where does he have all his stuff? I was like, he has a whole room, like a whole room.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Spoo, you are so lucky, man, because a lot of us guys don't get a whole room. We get maybe part of a wall.
Right.
Maybe.
I've got a closet.
He has part of a wall, like my living room. He has this, but my living room above the TV, I have this really long shelf that goes like the whole length of the wall, and all of his Kevin Smith figures from all his movies. Like he has every single figure from every Kevin Smith movie he ever put out. It's up there because he ran out of space.
Mandy had a couple of things to say. We were talking about Superman helping out the kids on the floor. And she mentioned, and we do know him. So, yes, Superman in Prairieville is an off-duty police officer.
And he is with Heroes for Kids.
He is for Heroes for Kids.
Him and his wife started it. So.
Yep. And we'll be attending there also. So stay tuned for more information on that.
Well, it's not just Superman. Go find a Ghostbuster. Go find Wonder Woman.
Yes.
We could do it on Facebook. That would be interesting. Yeah. No, you're right. Anybody that's a hero, probably don't want to find, the Joker. That's probably not the person you want.
I know one of the Jokers. I think if a kid came up to him, I think he'd have it.
You're exactly right. I do too.
Thanos, because there's a 50-50 chance you might not make it back.
I'll help you find some help in a snap.
Oh, man.
Dust in the wind.
What?
All we are is dust in the wind. Dude. Exactly. So, all right. So we've talked about, all these things with it, about going to the con, having your first experience there. We've talked about cosplaying,
comfortable shoes.
Comfortable shoes right up there. That's very important. And I was actually going to mention that. So, and if you're a lady and you're dressing in heels for your character, make sure you bring those shoes with you also. You don't want those on all the time.
Also, bring a cosplay emergency kit.
Yeah.
Because I carry one with me, and you know how many times I've been asked to go into the bathroom to fix like cosplays for people. Or one year there was a model that I have worked with, and she was cosplay, and she was in this huge hoop skirt, and it kept like coming down because it was too big around her waist. And she's like, AJ, can you? I literally climbed under her skirt on the floor to sew it to her dress. I thought cosplaying as like just putting like a thing on and just put cosplay medic and just like walk around.
Medic.
But it's a thing. You need to. I always say bring needle and thread, bring tape, even if it's duct tape. Something's gonna break and you're gonna need to fix it, and you don't want to lose part of like a prop that you can fix later at home.
Right.
That sort of thing. Bring a backpack or some kind of bag that you can carry. One, carry the stuff you buy, and two, carry the stuff in it and a water bottle or something like that, because you want to stay hydrated. You're going to be walking a lot. It's going to be like, depending on the convention, you're going to be walking a lot. So bring all of that stuff. You want your cosplay emergency kit as well.
That's good. Great advice. Well, I want to talk a little bit for people. Maybe it's going to be their first experience selling merchandise at a convention and being a part on the floor where people are coming. What can they expect? What do they need to look at? How do they need to approach things?
Okay, so first thing is, depending on what you're selling, if you're reselling something that you bought, or that you've got that you ordered and you have a bunch of, that's different. If you are a crafts person and you've made stuff, first things first, and I tell every person who makes things that they then sell, do not underprice yourself.
Yes.
You don't want to lose money at a con. You don't want to lose money on your craft if you're trying to make it into a business.
Right.
To the state of Missouri, you have to have a doing business as license to vend at anything that you're going to make more than like $100 at. So I tell people it's like $35, but it lasts for forever as long as you pay your taxes on whatever you make every year. So pay that money, get that doing business as license. It also helps you in case you want to expand. You now have that.
Right.
Setup. You want to make sure that your booth is set up not only to invite your customers in, but comfortable for you. Make sure you leave space for you to sit down, because you're not going to be on your feet the whole time. You're going to want to sit down sometimes. And make sure you have like an area where you can have drinks and stuff like that. A lot of the times vendors, because you're stuck at your booth for hours and hours, they allow you to bring in a drink and snacks and stuff like that as a vendor. Depends on the con, but most cons will allow you to bring that in just so that you have something at your booth so you don't have to leave. If you have to use the bathroom and you're the only person on your booth, know that they have staff at almost every con who will sit at your booth for you to watch your stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They might not sell your stuff. It depends on if you have it set up where they can, but they will at least sit there and watch your stuff and let people know that you'll be back. Take breaks for yourself. Don't go into a con and think, I'm going to be selling this, and then you never see anything else other than your booth. You want to look around.
Right.
Know what the con is offering on setup, like how big the table is, what they have. Go ahead.
Well, I was also going to say, for some people, depending on what they have going on at their booth, Wi-Fi and access to electricity is important. Make sure you know all of that before you get there, and that you work it out. Because sometimes certain conventions will make that like an extra.
Right.
Will charge extra for both of those things.
And they also have areas that have that available, especially electricity. There are certain areas. So you want to make sure you get your booth that you say, I need electricity to this booth.
Right.
Let's see, what else? Displays don't, if it's your first time doing it, don't worry about going out and buying the biggest, best displays unless you have the money to do it. Like, people will buy, if you have your stuff on the table laid out, people will buy it just as much as if you have a big display behind you that costs you thousands of dollars.
Right.
Do what you can afford to do. Don't try to overextend. And enjoy it. People are going to come up to you, and if you make something nerdy, I guarantee you there's going to be at least a few people at a con who are going to be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and stuff like that. So enjoy it.
And don't be offended if somebody looks at your stuff and doesn't say anything. Maybe it's not for them. So that's the other thing I would add is, don't get excited when people love it, but also don't get offended if they don't, because we all are different. We all like different things.
And it could be out of their price range.
Could be out of their price range. Yes.
And I find something and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then I see the price and I'm like, I can't afford that right now.
Right.
I just walk away because I know, like, I want to give them more opportunity to get people in there who can't afford it and buy it.
Right.
Set up a square or something like that so you can take credit cards.
Yes.
My first con, I did not have that set up, and I literally lost hundreds of dollars of sales because I only could take cash. Because I didn't think ahead and think, oh, I need a Square. Square is free. You download the app, they'll send you the Square, and then it takes a percentage. It's just like any other credit card thing. It takes a percentage as you sell. It doesn't charge you anything to set it up. So you just do that.
That's wise.
Yes.
Yeah. Right on.
Yes.
Right? It's smart. And if you have that set up and you have that set up on your phone, then when you have a staff member come and sit at your table, if you leave them your phone with your Square, you can literally make sales and not even be there, be at the bathroom or something, because most of them will sell it for you.
A good idea, if you can, have somebody there with you. That way you can take those breaks a little easier. Also, for when you've got that downtime, because there's going to be points where people aren't at your table. That way you can have some conversations and do some of the things. But that's always a positive thing, to have multiple people there if possible. So, yeah.
It's always good to be able to talk to people in the other booths near you.
Right, exactly. Make friends with them.
Yeah, it's great making new friends.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was going to say, I actually know a lot of the people that I know because of being in booths next to them. So a lot of the geeky people in the area was because we were all at a con together in booths close and got talking.
Yeah.
Elena, the only reason I know Elena is because she was selling books right next to me.
Do you know, and I did not know this because I met Elena at a con as well. I was at a booth like 3 away from her. But do you know Shpoo has known her forever? He is her son's godfather.
Did not know that.
I know.
Is she going to be at the convention? She better be at the convention.
I don't think so.
That's too bad. I love Elena. So
we probably got a convention to go to.
In Elena's her agent. Elena's agent is the best in the world. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Her puppet.
Oh,
her agent. She's got this great puppet.
When did Elena get up like a real agent? Like,
she's like, well, you want to meet my agent? And pulls up the puppet. Hey, yeah. You want to buy a book today, don't you? You really want to buy a book? That's
amazing.
Elena's awesome. So, yeah, if you're watching Elena at some point, we love you. We'd love to have you on some point again. So we've got that. Those are all great things. So I want to talk about one more thing. Maybe this is your first doing something. And this is where I've spent the last 10 plus years with most conventions, covering a convention for like a website or a blog, or just because you're trying to make something of yourself. So there's things you need to know about that. One, find out what the policy is with the conventions to be able to get press passes. Because if you're doing something like this, a lot of conventions have that capability. Some of the bigger conventions, you have to have a site that has so many people attending showing up or whatever else. Sometimes if you talk to the people in charge of that, they make exceptions, especially if you have known them for a while. You've been out there for a while. Maybe your site doesn't do as many hits as what people would like, but sometimes that can happen. So that's the first thing to look at. You can still cover a convention if you're paying. You can pay to get in, cover the convention. You won't have the fancy press badges, whatever those are. And those are really cool, by the way. I love those. Those are I have a whole collection of press badges that I love because it just makes me excited to think they think I'm press. Oh my gosh, dude, they don't really know. Exactly just like that. Here's my last OzCon one right there. So there you go. So
I say special guest. So
yeah, mine doesn't yet, but I guess I get a special guest one this year because this year I get at OzCon get to be a guest and not just a member of the press. But this one says press. So
that's cool. I didn't get one of those.
I know I love my press badges. So if you're covering a convention, if you get in for free, for instance, the thing you need to know is you're there on a job.
Yeah.
If they're paying or if they're giving you a free entry, then you need to actually show that you're writing the articles, doing the blogs, doing the videos, whatever that you're doing that got you in there. Don't just spend the whole time enjoying the con. Now, on the other side, take time to enjoy the convention. Also, there's a balance there. I spend a lot of time taking pictures of cosplayers to post up on the site. I try to go to lots of panels so I can cover what's being said at the panels. Bigger conventions, when you've got announcements from big comic book conventions or you have some big star there that's doing a panel, then those are always great to cover because those always make some interesting reading. So there's all sorts of things you can do, but there's also taking time to talk to people, doing those kind of interviews. You can do all sorts of stories from there. And also all sorts of videos from there, depending on how you're covering a convention. But, just make sure that you're not there just to get in to have a good time. You're there to cover, you're there to do a job, but also have fun because the reason you want to cover it's because you're a geek and you love these sort of things.
Yeah.
Also, make sure you pay attention to your press and or media relations person.
You're
having
exactly
done that
right.
several times myself. Been in that particular job.
Yep.
Sometimes it actually pays if you're nice to and or listen to your press or media person because they could probably help you do certain things. Now, if you decide to go off on your own and do other things, that's fine. But back when I was doing it, I probably overdid it. The amount of information that I put out in the press release. I know, right? I know. I mean, who would ever have time to read a 5-page front-to-back press release with all kinds of information?
As somebody who reads press releases like daily now, working in the newspaper, I would be like, why is he sending me all this information?
No, for GeekyKOOL, what we
would
do, for the website, what we would do is say this comes from a press release from Keith. This is what he has to say. Look at all these great things, and basically,
it wouldn't be me trying to say it, but I would basically almost give you your own version of a con book by the time I was done, because it would include the bios for all of the actors and stuff, everything. I just here you go. This is for you.
Well, that is super helpful because sometimes there's going to be actors there that I don't know their shows that they're famous for, don't know history is there. There's all sorts of great information to be able to use and to write my articles with.
And do your research before you interview these people.
Right? Exactly. That was my number one pet peeve. Number one pet peeve.
And that's give me the information, Keith. I'm going to look at that information, and if I don't know this person, I don't know this John Smith person, I'll be like, I don't know who he is. Okay, Keith said he should start in this. I will Google him and figure out some things and ask him some questions because they're a special guest for a reason. People want to see them. So, yeah.
Right.
I would set up all kinds of nice stuff, and a lot of that stuff a majority of that stuff would get blown off by the media for whatever reason. And
not
it
from
just
Geeky
really
Cool.
bugged me. Bugged me.
I can imagine. So that would bug me too. Now let me say, not all conventions have it to where you can interview everybody. Know what
Right.
those rules are too. Some conventions give you access to their stars, and their stars know that you've got that access. Sometimes it's a special session beforehand. Sometimes you can go up on the floor to them, but know what the rules are. You don't want to stick a microphone in somebody's face when that's not okay. You need to make sure that you're doing things in the appropriate way. One, because you want to keep that guest happy. You want to keep the convention happy. So you have that relationship as somebody who's covering the convention, and you want to make sure you don't get yourself kicked out for doing something that you're not supposed to there.
Also, with that, know that different guests have different rules in their contract.
You're exactly right.
Because you have access to one of those guests, the other one you might not have access to because it's in their contract.
That's exactly right.
Know that the special guests, media people, coordinators, whatever they want to call themselves at these conventions, what Keith did for a long time, like look at him over there, they know the rules for each guest, and so if they say this person you can go talk to on the floor and you can take pictures of, but this person says no pictures without paying the fee, guess what? That is not something the convention does. That is in a contract, and you should obey that contract.
Right. And make sure to don't be sneaky trying to get pictures of people you're not supposed to. You know, that's one of those pet peeves. People will try to do that. Some guests are, especially if you have a press pass, are a lot more open to that. Some of them not. Know who you're dealing with. Also, know kind of you might want to research the guests, not only who they are, but what's their experience has been in other conventions, because some guests just don't do well with press or other people in general unless you're handing them money. Just know that going in, so you know kind of how to react.
It really does pay to do your research.
It does.
It led to one of the coolest things to ever happen to me when I was covering an event, to find out that one of the media guests is actually from Missouri.
Yeah.
So that when I was talking to them, I was able to reference where they're from and a lot of the things that they knew when they were growing up. And that got me special access to another guest who they happen to be next. Their booths happen to be next to each other.
That's
they
awesome.
know each other.
Yeah.
And it just became a thing. If you do your homework, all the good things happen. Just remember.
Be personable.
Be personable. That's exactly right.
Personable. Because you can know everything about that person, but if you do not have the tact to interview them or talk to them as a person, that turns a lot of celebrities off. Like if you're going up to a celebrity and you just are so blunt or so like fangirling on them, or you just completely cold, you need to be personable. They want that interaction as well. Like they don't want you to dominate their time. I'm not saying do that, but when you're talking to them, talk to them like they're a person and not just like a subject.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And that also goes for a lot of the people that actually run booths themselves. Sometimes you can have a particular personality or celebrity that's actually there on behalf of a particular company. And so they're being sponsored, and so they're not with the other guests. They could be at a booth, you know, and that happens for a lot of bigger conventions. That'll be something that'll sometimes happen, you know. Just be aware, and again, do your homework. If there's someone you do not know, okay. Nowadays, this was not available back in the 90s. You can use this thing called Google, and you can pretty much look up whatever about whoever, and instant searches and Wikipedia, all that stuff will give you at least a heads up. Okay, if it's not in their app for the event itself. Many conventions have their own convention app, and will include a bio for all their guests and blah 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 blah. But just be prepared. Don't just go in cold thinking that you can try to play stuff off, because that is probably my number one pet peeve, is that people that try to act smart and end up messing it up because you're not as smart as you think you are. And you can't play some of this stuff off. And for me, that's the ultimate sign of disrespect.
Yeah.
To go and treat all of the celebrity actors one way, and then to find someone who you call just some comic book guy, and and it's like a Jack Kirby or somebody, and it's like, no, you can't do that. You can't just call that person just some comic book guy. No. So
yeah, right.
Do your homework, and if you're going to go to a convention and cover it, just I understand deadlines, I do, but don't show up like almost 35-40 minutes before you go to air thinking that this is going to be a quick thing, and all you want to do is just stand there and catch footage. You may interview some people. For the most part, you just sort of do like a 60-second sort of thing where they describe the event, and that's it.
Right.
So you wasted your time, you wasted my time. I'm not saying that not always the people that are assigned to do that are making those decisions, but if you are going to do that, understand that there's people like me out there that are willing to do whatever we can to help you do your job better. Just respect what we do, respect our guests and customers, and it'll be a great time for everyone. And again, it's not to say that people in the media are disrespectful, although I've run into one or two that.
Sure. Well, and unfortunately, there's bad lots with everybody. So
yeah.
But definitely, if you can make friends with anybody at the convention, that only benefits you as a creator, somebody that's trying to do some coverage of this, because you never know how those relationships will help you in the future. Plus, you know what? Sometimes it's just good to be a good person rather than it doesn't really matter what I'm going to get from this person. I'm just going to be a nice guy anyway. That goes a long ways.
Don't go into. I was around when there was a person who was interviewing someone at a con, who was very hostile toward the guest. Don't be like that. If you don't want to if you're going to be hostile toward that guest, don't interview that guest. Like there's that too. Like you have the right to say, I'm not going to interview that person because I don't agree with what they do, or I don't agree with what they stand for. You have that right as well. But don't go, then just don't interview them. Don't go into an interview to be hostile. These people, these celebrities, these guests, whether they're just like me being a special guest, which I'm like, whatever, or they're like an actual celebrity, we still spend our time. We still spend our time to I'm not a celebrity. I'm only a celebrity at OzCon.
You're a big celebrity at OzCon. OzCon loves you. And by the way, they should. All conventions should treat you that way.
I love OzCon.
I'm thinking, it should be like the Queen of Hearts coming in when you walk into any convention. They roll out the red carpet for you. All hail the Queen!
Roses and flower petals fall from the air.
I think that's what we should do. We should push for that.
You have a higher opinion of me than I deserve. But I thank you for that. I thank you for that. You guys are good for my ego.
Well, we like to help. So,
but yeah.
So I think that about covers it for kind of everything around that. Anything else you guys want to add about convention? I would say before we go off, because we're talking about that a little bit. If there's somebody you don't like, so you're not a fan of somebody, the best thing to do is just not to go talk to them or to ignore them, or at least treat them with dignity. I mean, I don't have to like somebody, but if I can appreciate that they put a lot of hard work into something. Like if you're a fan fiction director of whatever, and I may not love your work, but I can appreciate the hard work that you and the people involved with it do. I can treat you with respect. Right.
We shouldn't all like everything.
Exactly.
The world would be very boring. Also, and this is just a personal note, if you have people who you know go to these conventions that you personally know that you don't get along with, don't start drama. Don't start drama at a convention. Nobody wants drama at a convention. Literally leave it at home. If they are there, you are there, just act like you don't know them. Like
right.
quickly say hello and walk away. It's a convention. Don't start drama at a convention.
Go ahead.
It's about them, not you.
Yeah, nobody wants to be there and hear you like go, well, this person did this and this and this to me like 7 years ago and I hate them. Like, I don't care.
Right. So
I don't care.
Pretend like you're cosplaying as Kim Possible and just say, so not, what was it? Oh my gosh, I lost what she always said. So not a big. So I'm like, yeah, it's no big deal. Just move on. It's over. So not the drama. That's what she would say. So not the drama.
Not the drama.
So
that's the thing. Just don't start drama. Like,
don't start drama. There's no need for it.
Not worth it. Have fun.
Have fun.
Have fun.
That's what it should be about. That's what the whole thing should always be about. Because
Exactly.
we're all there just having fun, and the people that put on the convention do all of this work, months of work,
Years.
not so that you can start drama, but because they want to invite you in and be able to give you a fun weekend.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're all there for the same thing. You know, we're all nerds and geeks. Let's just chill and have fun.
Right. Yep. The other thing to know about conventions, and I meant to say this at the beginning, when you're looking to see your convention, look and see how long the convention is. Get to know and when you're making those plans, is it a 1-day convention? Is it a 3-day, 4-day convention? Or are you going to be there the whole time? What days are you going to go? I advise if you're going to 1 day, don't pick Saturday, because Saturdays are usually the busiest times. If you want to have the best experience, I would say go on the first day, because usually less people there, and to start off with at least, and things will build. But then you can get people as they're fresh. So if you want to go talk to that celebrity, catch them when they're fresh, rather than on Sunday at 4:00 and the convention doors are closing at 5, and they're just thinking, I'm so tired of signing things. Get their best. So, but if you're going to be there all week, then also make those plans. How are you going to do that? What are you going to do?
I agree with you on that, but I'm going to add something. It depends on what you're going to the convention for.
You're right.
If you're going to the convention to meet these celebrities, yes, the first day is like the best day because they are fresh and they're excited about being there. The third day, they're going to be like, I just want to go home now. Because you're like that as a con goer. You're like, oh my gosh, this con. Like, I love this con, but it's almost over. Thank goodness.
Right.
If you're there to see amazing cosplay, figure out which day the cosplay contest is. Whether
that's true.
It's Friday or Saturday.
You're right.
Where you're going to see the best cosplays. Because people are doing that for the cosplay contest. Also, I forgot to mention, if you want to be a part of the cosplay contest, make sure you know the rules of the cosplay contest and you know when you enter. You can't just enter at any time. You get prejudged at most of these things. You have to wait in line. That takes time away from your convention going. So just be aware of that. If you're ready, if you're really just there to figure out, you want to buy stuff, you want to like get some like amazing art or amazing figures or whatever it is that you're into, and you want the best deal, go on the last day.
Right, that's true.
People don't want to take that home.
Now, the exception of that is if it's something that's limited, it may be gone before you come on Sunday. So realize that. But if you're looking for deals are usually done on Sunday.
Yeah. So it just depends on what if you're only going to pick one day, pick your priority and then figure out which day that is. Because I know one of my favorite things is the cosplay contest. So I would always pick that day, and even if it's the busiest day, because I love the cosplay contest.
No, that makes perfect sense. I'm just thinking, especially if you don't want to see a crowd, if you don't want to fight the crowd, if you don't want to stand in longer lines, you're going to see that usually on a Saturday for the most part, because that's when everybody's off work. People are having a good time. So that's usually the busiest day. So, but just know that going in. So.
And if you go on Saturday, go and you want to get those guests, go early on Saturday.
Early, yeah.
Show up early because it gets really busy around noon because people have had breakfast and stuff, and then they come in. So
yeah. And if you're going first day, get there early, especially if you either have bought tickets online, you got to go to will call or whatever you're doing. There's always going to be a line. So if you want to get to the floor as quick as possible or wherever you want to go with it, make sure you get there early enough to stand in line for it.
Yeah.
Respect the rules when you're going to panels featuring certain major guests.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll go into the large panel rooms and there will be chairs that are roped off for all the people that have bought tickets to get those special seats.
Right.
Just because there's nobody sitting there does not mean that you can automatically jump beyond the rope and just sit anywhere you want.
Right.
Respect the rules, respect the process, and again, we're all there to have fun. Just do that.
Also know that there are several ways you can go to cons without paying the entry fee.
Thank you. That was the next thing I was going to ask.
A lot of cons have what they call gophers. They have staff. You can volunteer at a lot of cons to work a certain amount of hours, and then you can get into the con for the weekend free.
Right.
I've been a gopher at VisionCon. Like I did it like 3 or 4 years. I know OzCon is looking for volunteers right now for OzCon. So reach out to those cons, and a lot of them will post it on their Facebook page, like they're still looking for volunteers. But know that you work like 6 hours in the whole weekend, but then you literally get to go and enjoy the con for as many days as it is. That is a great way for especially someone who is their first con, they're younger, they don't have a lot of funds. That's a great way for like high school and college kids to get into cons without having to pay a lot of money. You can literally become a gopher.
And you build relationships, you get to know people. It's a great way to do that. Working together, doing something like that, that actually will open up other doors for you there. So that's a great way to do that. Yeah.
Have the people who come back every year to volunteer because they have so much fun with it.
Exactly.
And those are the people that eventually get higher up into that. I mean, into doing what they're doing. A lot of the people who are, at VisionCon who have gotten onto the board in the past started out as like volunteers and they're volunteers, by the way. The boards does not mean they get paid. It means that they do it.
That's true.
Their time. It's more of a full-time volunteer thing and not just like a weekend volunteer thing. Just letting you guys know that. Just because you're on the board of something does not mean you're getting financially.
Not at all. I've been there, been the president of a board of a nonprofit agency. Whew. That's
and a lot of cons. There are cons that are for profit. There are, but there are a lot of cons that are charitable events. Right. They give to charities. So find out those cons and know that you're helping out whatever charity it is by attending. So
all right, guys, that was amazing. Thank you, Keith, for joining us. Ace, you're always amazing. I'm so blessed to do the show with you. So exactly. So I think we'll pull it in and wrap it up because we're about at the 2-hour mark, which, that's what always happens other than, normally with Keith, it's 3 or 4. I don't know. I'm not sure where we're stopping. Because we love talking to you so much, Keith, because you're amazing. So
look at him with his, look at him.
What one's that? What was that? Tron. Oh, Tron. Yeah.
Excellent. Tron. I love my geeky guys and all their toys. I'm just saying. Like, I think it's amazing that you guys collect these things. So,
well, I do that in books too. I mean, lots and lots of books. You know me and books. So, I mean, I love books. That's my first love. Not that toys aren't, but love my books too.
Yeah, I love books too.
And what does your wife say? Sure, he loves his books and toys. Yeah, where am I? Come on.
Oh, I love love my artwork. That's why my whole living room is nothing but artwork. So.
Yeah, me too. I love my artwork.
It's all awesome.
Not everything gets hung up though, but I do love my artwork.
You're exactly right.
I agree.
Because some of us aren't allowed to have rooms.
This is true. You know, I had to buy a new house to get a little closet room.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, but I've got that now, so I'm pretty happy with it. So
This is the second biggest room in the house
it is.
for him. I gave it to him.
Yeah, I don't get that. So that's okay. That's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. That's
Not
good for Spoo.
Not everybody can be as lucky as Spoo.
This is true. That seems
Right?
like next week
Right?
on GeekyKOOL presents, not everybody can be as lucky as Spoo. A whole episode of how Spoo is so lucky.
Dude!
Never remind him of this. Okay, I'm just saying.
Our top 20 list on how lucky Spoo is.
I'll show up for that one. I'll watch. I'll watch. It's like, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if he's watching this. Like, he's at work, but he said something about hanging out at work for a little bit, and I was like, I wonder if he's watching this, because if he is, he should comment.
So far, he's not throwing any comments up. So
No.
maybe tell him.
Hey, look, I enjoy you, Spoo. You are good people because, you're not trash bag Riddler.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen the movie yet. We were going to talk about the Batman, but Larry, he's seen the steel. He's seen the pictures. He knows that.
No, I know Trash Bag Riddler, but yeah, I've not seen the movie yet. It's there's been some stuff going on in life that I've not made it yet. Plus, one, I keep trying to convince my son to go, and it's like, I'm like, hey, it's like 11 o'clock Saturday morning. Let's talk about going. Okay, yeah, maybe we'll do this afternoon. And then he goes and disappears, rides his bike around the neighborhood, comes home at 7. I'm like, son, it's too late. It's a 3-hour movie. Plus, I can't buy tickets now. So, but we're gonna go. It's just
we got to go see it because we got to see it 2 days before it was released because Shoo was playing with the IMAX, and we got to see it. And then we went to B&B and cosplayed as well.
I was jealous.
We got to see twice in like 2 days. So it's
That's awesome.
So are you guys gonna go to Morbius?
I probably will because I've heard horrible stuff about it. So I like watching train rides.
I plan on seeing it. I don't. I plan on seeing it in the theater too. So.
You love me, you know it. I just tell it how it is. I'm just like.
By the way, did I see that something's being released today on Disney Plus? By the way, I think I did.
Maybe
I think it's today.
Maybe.
Little Moon Knight.
Maybe.
So, yeah.
I'll give you a hint.
Like if I could
over. The big hoodie.
I like
the
it.
big cloak.
I like it. I'm excited for Moon Knight, so we'll see how that goes.
We gotta
waiting years.
I know, right?
Waiting
He's such a unique character.
Unique's a good way. Unique is a good way of putting it. Hey, look, one last thing. Yes. Steven Spielberg is actually doing Black Hawk. I've been saying it for years. Yes.
All right, because I know you've been talking about it.
I've been talking about it for years, and his representative has said, yeah, he still wants to do that movie.
That's
so
awesome.
Be looking. The third original DC comic book character ever committed to film was Black Hawk, and Steven Spielberg will now be doing his own version of that.
That's awesome.
Right. I look forward to it. That would be awesome. Look at you. You're super excited.
I know.
Keith does
all I can say, I think the first time Keith and I met, we talked about Black Hawk. I really think that's. I'm like, yeah.
Hey, look. With the new season of Doctor Who coming, the new Doctor coming, I said on our show that because of the circumstances and what is going to be involved in doing this whole new Doctor, there is a better than small chance that Peter Jackson will finally be allowed to direct an episode, and you might even get Steven Spielberg, who is a big Doctor Who fan from like way back. Like way back. He approached the BBC about turning Doctor Who into a movie and got turned down big time just before they decided to go ahead and greenlight what eventually became the Doctor Who pilot / movie that introduced the Doctor after Sylvester McCoy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smooth move there, BBC. Steven Spielberg. Yeah. You just don't know about this guy.
Yeah, we don't. What has he done? No.
Well, the important thing about the timing of that movie is, had they said yes, that would have been his film after Schindler's List. He wanted to do something really kind of fun, light, complete opposite of making that movie.
Right.
And he wanted it to be Doctor Who.
That would
Good going, BBC.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up since we're over 2 hours now, and we love that you guys are out there watching us, and some of you I know had to come in and out, but thank you for watching us. We do appreciate that. Yes.
No. I was just preparing for, just to let you know, there is another event coming up. It's called Tremendicon.
Yes.
It'll be the first year here in Springfield. It'll be June 17th to the 19th. It'll be at the Oasis Hotel and Convention Center. It is a different type of an event. Okay, it's not just a convention. It is an event where you basically go and learn a lot of stuff. There's a heavy emphasis on education.
Very cool.
So
I need to follow up with those guys. I've actually got some information there and need to check on that.
Yeah. Would you like to talk to a member of the board?
I would.
We are.
Nice to meet you.
All right. So we'd like to cover the event.
I think I could help set something up.
That would be amazing. And we would like to promote it and have you back on to promote it.
I'm not doing the media portion of it. That's left up to Mr. Gary Bedell.
But we could have you both on.
Actually, you need to talk to David Stanfield and his wife, Amy Stanfield, because they are the ones running it. And along with Gary Bedell, I think you guys are going to have a party and a half. And I will definitely watch that particular episode because, when they talk and do stuff, they are so much fun.
All right. That sounds like a plan. So hook us up with contact information and all that. But
we'll do that off there.
Yeah, I was going to say we don't want to cause any problems by giving any private information. So.
Professor. Oh,
I'm serious. You gotta be careful.
We don't want our site again.
Yeah. All right. So moving right along, AJ, would you like to give our exit?
The episode thing?
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed watching us, we have a bunch of friends who do things that are a little similar, a little bit different, but they're part of our nerdy, geeky community. So we like to throw out some things for you to go check out some other people. Okay. First one we have is the Nerd Informants. That is Tim and Josh over at the Nerd Informants on YouTube and Facebook. We have all kinds of things from reviews to gaming things. They're just amazing people. I hang out with Tim every day because I work with him, but they're just so much fun. And they've also started a page for nerds and geeks to post what we want, and that is their Nerd Informants Beyond.
Yep.
My mind went. Nerd Informants.
It happens.
And you can literally go and post things. You can ask questions. You're just gonna get so much information, and you can share your nerdiness with the rest of the world there. So be sure to check that out. When you go to these pages, you go to the YouTube, hit hit subscribe, comment. All of those things help us get up in those algorithms, which makes more people see what we're doing, and it lets us know that you like what we're doing. So That's important to us. Yeah, we the love. Okay, now we have Mr. Keith on today, but Mr. Keith has his own show.
He does.
Well,
Yes,
multiples.
yes, but this one is your show. This is the show that where are you on your Babylon 5?
We've taken a break from that for right now. But I do have Saturday morning fun time, and that'll be Saturdays at noon. And then, of course, our regular TGIF show, which is every Friday, and at 2. And then we also do a special show for the Geekosity, where we give all of the biggest scoops from Geekosity magazine, and that show is usually on Thursdays.
And where
So
can
you
they
can catch up.
channel?
All of that stuff is through YouTube, but you can also find us on Facebook at Pop Culture Minefield. And if you're looking, for the star of the show, his name is Gary, and and I sort of assist. But remember, we are kind of a little on the adult side with certain things,
So if you have little ones running around and you don't want them to hear a curse word now and then, put some headphones on, but go and check them out because they're going to give you a bunch of great information. Or if it's like my kid, I just say, "Hey, you hear it from me. It's fine."
Just put the earmuffs on them so they can't hear it at all. So,
but Saturday morning fun time is a celebration of when you were younger and you would get up on Saturday mornings to watch your favorite cartoons and get that bowl of cereal. It's all of that geek type talk at noon, and it is so much fun.
That's amazing.
We have way too much fun.
Keith. I love that, man. Hey, we will get that written up for in here. I'll have to get all the details again from you. But yeah, that's awesome. I mean, all I can say is we need a Thunder the Barbarian reboot. That's what we need.
Right. A Johnny Quest movie too.
A Johnny Quest movie too. Yes, I agree.
Yes. I think the Quest comic book that they did from DC Comics called Adventure Quest, where it's all of the Hanna-Barbera action heroes in one. That's what we need.
Yes,
that would be really awesome. I agree.
You can find all the issues of Adventure Quest now that are out. So they've collected all the issues in one edition. It's great stuff.
So
you'll love it.
I've got the individual comics.
Time, huh? Oh, I'm gonna so watch that every Saturday. Like, I'm just serious. This is like my kind of jam. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, we talked a lot tonight about OzCon because we're going to be there on April 23rd or 22nd through the 24th. I'm getting married on the 23rd, which will be live streamed. But OzCon, there's 2 girls from the OzCon staff who have their own show, their own podcast. And that is the OzPod Gals. Now, that is Brianna and Amber, and they're beautiful. 1, they're beautiful to look at, but 2, they are the nerdiest girls ever. They will talk to you about all kinds of nerdy things. They love anime. They love, they're big anime fans. Let me just throw that out there. But they also do all kinds of really fun experiments and stuff like that. Things that Professor and I don't do. Like I'm not going to eat gross food and tell you what it's like.
It's on the Murtaugh list.
I'm just like not going to do that. But that is on Thursdays on Facebook, OzPod Gals, 6 p.m. They do lives, but they also do some that are pre-recorded. So go check them out. Give them a like. They are one of our newest friends in our circle of friends.
They are.
So be sure to go do that. Then we have the Scallywag.
Arg.
Scallywag Productions. That is on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's Scallywag with a K. And that is Shmoo. And he is just probably one of the biggest nerds I've ever met in my life. We talk about all kinds of nerdy things all the time. This is our conversations here at the house. But he is also the guy who has all these. So on Instagram, he posts a collectible of the day every day. He's so lucky, right?
Right?
But go check him out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and just let him know he will be. He's got a new job, and it's like a little time consuming right now. So he is better in his health, but he is now working on trying to get that like schedule worked out. And
Right.
we're doing some new videos and stuff. He will be on OzCon, and he will be doing some videos for them. So you can be able to see some of his work there as well. And then there's us.
There is us.
GeekyKOOL.com. The website is up and running, and you guys can go check it out. Listen, I had to say it. I had to say it because it was down for a week. We won't talk about why, but it was down for a week, so you can go back, check it out. We have some amazing contributors who write for us, and just they love geeky, nerdy stuff, and they share that with you. If you want to be a contributor, let one of us know. Professor and I can hook that up. And we are, how does Shmoo put it? The one-stop shop for all things nerd.
That's right. That's good.
He does it better. He does it better.
Okay. He's got a cadence to it. So,
that radio voice, like
yeah.
radio voice. But be sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube as well. You are checking us out on one of those, so just hit subscribe, like, share, comment. How's that, Professor?
That's perfect. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. We appreciate your time. Once again, Mr. Keith in the house. We love you, man. We're so glad you stopped by. Come talk about conventions, which is one of our favorite things for all of us. So thank you, my friend. And AJ over here, thank you for always being my partner. And yeah, looking so adorable because one of us asked to. And and that's not me. So until next week, stay geeky.
Bye, guys.